Hello and welcome to the BNN, the Baltic News Network. Today our top story is Greece's catastrophic unemployment rate. I'm Christopoulos Demopoulos, your chief economist and anchor tonight. Greece is currently faced with a whopping unemployment rate of 24.6%, the highest in all of the European nation, compared to France's 9.5%, the Netherlands' 4.7%, and the UK's 4.3% unemployment rates. Our economic growth is almost at a stagnant, at 0.4% growth in real GDP. Now for BNN's senior history correspondent, Pandora Papadopoulos, with the causes of how we got into this disastrous condition. Pandora?
Greece had its golden era during the 1960s and early 1970s, when inflation and unemployment rates were low and the economy thrived. Business was promising, with credible monetary policies and a favorable tax regime. However, following the 1973 oil crisis, Greece's economy was deeply affected and the country entered a period of depression. The quality of standard within the labor force was extremely low. Excessive job demand and insufficient resources hindered productivity and decreased the laborers' health. Workers did not have a sufficient safety net provided by the government when faced with unemployment. To make matters worse, the economy went into recession in 2009 as a result of the global financial crisis. This tight credit conditions, as well as Athens' failure to address a growing budget deficit. There is too much debt circulating around for the country to grow. There should be plenty of provisions taken in order for Greece to improve socially and economically. Currently, Greece is a parliamentary republic. The president, the head of state, is elected every 5 years by parliament. The current president is Pakopoulos Papoulos. The prime minister, elected by the president, is the head of government, which is under the ministry council. The current prime minister is Alexis Tsipras. The legislature, consisting of parliament and the president, is in charge of lawmaking. Back to you, Christopoulos.
Thanks, Pandora. Greece has been faced with many social and cultural implications, as well as economic, that brought us to this state. Now, to our social anthropologist Athena Montopoulos for a closer look into it.
Thanks, Christopoulos. Greece has made a substantial amount of progress since the recession back in 2009. They still need to plow on with some structural reforms to boost growth and generate jobs. As the majority of the population is of the same ethnic background, they are united by their culture. However, they are divided by their economic status. People in the uppermost 20% of the population earn 6 times more than the poorest Greeks. There has also been an increasing amount of protests due to younger, uneducated workers being neglected in the labor force. There is a substantial bias towards older and more experienced in the field workers, leaving incoming generation with an unavailability of jobs. As of now, 36% of people are below the poverty line. Taxes make up about 70% of the people's income, and there are only 4.761 million people in the labor force. There are out of 10,000 people living in Greece, which leaves the unemployment rate at an alarming 24.6%. According to the OECD survey, Greeks are below the life satisfaction average. When asked to rate their general satisfaction with life on a scale from 0 to 10, Greeks gave it a 5.6 grade, lower than the OECD average of 6.5.
Many countries have risen out of an unemployment disaster. More on this is our top global correspondent, Dimitra Kostopoulos, with the best solution for Greece to tackle their crisis.
Thanks, Chris. Greece currently has the lowest dropping employment rate in the public work sector. To combat their high unemployment rate, the government can create new jobs to employ the youth and essentially increase productivity to aid in business expansion. The Republic can focus on creating jobs targeted towards women, as we have a large gender gap in the work sector. The government can also implement protection for workers when they become unemployed. The best solution is to take a look at Sweden's unemployment policy. Sweden currently has the highest employment rate in Europe of 81.2%. They have unemployment insurance for those who are actively seeking a job. The policy includes tax adjustments, unemployment assistance, and social assistance catered to the needs of each applicant. Sweden promotes a higher education to meet the skill requirements in order to obtain a job. They increase the part-time training options and increase work-based opportunities across the country. By applying this policy towards Greece, we can reduce the unemployment rate and cultivate economic growth. By increasing education and increasing job opportunities, Greece citizens can quickly become employed. In the long run, Greece will peak in the business cycle, real GDP will increase, and unemployment rate will go down.
With that plan, there can be many challenges and limitations. Greece would be limited to acquire money to implement a safety net when the country is already so far in debt. The nation would have to tackle its debt before it attempts at creating an insurance-type unemployment program. There are limitations on job expansion because only 68% of adults have completed upper secondary education, delaying the growth of job opportunities. Many of the skilled laborers leave Greece in order to find better job opportunities. Because of young Greeks and the non-structured education system, the economy of Greece has been stagnated tremendously, resulting in a high unemployment rate. In the business cycle, Greece is currently coming into the recovery stage. The GDP has slowly increased within the past few years after coming out of a trough or recession. Unemployment and GDP is still very low in the country. By increasing the job opportunities, providing a safety net, and educating their population, Greece can flow into the expansion phase of the business cycle. This has been our nightly report on BNN. My name is Christopoulos Demopoulos, and good night.